Hello there and welcome to South Africa Open for Business. I'm LIONEL SKINK. Thanks for joining us. This is the show that highlights why tourism is everybody's business and why we as a country should be taking this industry more seriously. But today we are going to zero in on business tourism in particular. That's meetings, conventions, as well as exhibitions. Now, last year, South Africa played host to no less than 60 such international events. Right now, this industry accounts for about 5% of total foreign arrivals and is worth a cool 5 billion rand to the economy. Now, that's big business in anybody's language. The question now is, how can South Africa remain globally competitive, and will a National Conventions Bureau help in securing more of these lucrative events? Now, to answer these and other questions is the Executive Manager of the newly formed National Conventions Bureau, Kotze Nhlapo, as well as CEO of the Johannesburg Tourism Company, Lindiwe Kwele. And last but not least, because it's ladies first, it's CEO of Durban, KwaZulu, Natal Conventions Bureau, James Seymour. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the Cape Town International Convention Centre is Africa's highest ranked and South Africa's best performing venue. We sat down with its CEO, Rashid Tofi. Let's take a look.
The Cape Town International Convention Centre was ranked number 1 in Africa and 35th internationally in 2009, according to ICCA, or the International Convention Centre Association. The centre is seen as a catalyst for pumping millions of rands into the South African economy. Rashid Tofi is the CEO of the Cape Town ICC, and he told us about its unique offering.
What makes Cape Town unique as a convention destination is that it brings together the key elements that a conference organizer needs, and that's essentially a strong academic and business environment, because really conferences are about connecting with the industry, and at the same time it's in a stunning location. It's in a venue that not only is aesthetically beautiful, but it also works.
And that work has been piling up. The Cape Town ICC hosted 500 events in the last financial year, 42 of which were international conferences and 30 were national conferences. Despite the continent getting only 3.8% of international association meetings, Cape Town wins the lion's share.
Each year we do an independent study looking at the economic impact of the CTICC and our operations on the economy as well as on job creation. And in the past year, in a year that we had a turnover of 140 million rand, more importantly, the real key indicator is that we had an economic impact of 2.3 billion rand on the economy of South Africa, based on foreign exchange brought into the country predominantly through international conferences. And the job creation statistic on that, related to that, is approximately 7,000 jobs that were created, both indirect and direct jobs created, simply due to the foreign exchange brought into our economy based on the international conferences hosted here.
It's not all a bed of roses though. According to Rashid, the industry's challenges depend on a stable traditional market and credible professionals.
The conference either fails or wins based on whether the right number of delegates attend, and that's often based on the economy. So if our key source market, which is Europe, if that's where the predominant number of international delegates comes from, for me, Europe failing is a huge challenge. So I think it's the economic environment on the one hand, and on the other hand, it is about talent management. It's about, when the people do come here, do I have the right kind of people to deliver on the promise that we make in selling this destination.
And this is where SAACI comes in. ADENE PRINGLE is the General Manager of the South African Association for the Conference Industry. They provide credible PCOs for the industry's events.
PCOs, or known usually in the industry as professional conference organizers, are the sort of backbone of any meeting, and we accredit our PCOs independently from SAACI through Grant Thornton, and in this way it just is able to professionalize the industry, because it's very easy for a person who has an aspiration to become a conference organizer to do so basically from their kitchen table, and this way just helps us to professionalize the industry and make it more credible and viable for our international business.
SAACI has over 1,200 members from a variety of sectors within the conference industry. In a bid to increase more business tourism, ADENE says professional conference organizers must be more proactive.
the business tourism as an industry contributes in the region of 5 billion rand per annum to the economy of the country. And I certainly think that there is definitely room to grow, particularly now with the Convention Bureau firmly in place. This will give us an opportunity to bid for more international and bigger events and meetings to come to the country in the future.
That future, for Cape Town at least, looks promising. The ICC is extending its capacity. In a struggling economic environment, it seems the Cape Town ICC has found a niche.
While Cape Town hasn't traditionally been a key exhibition market, we believe that's a growth area. And that's the reason why we're actually doubling the size of our exhibition space in the next 3 years. Because exhibitions tend to track economies, and at the moment, while exhibitions may be under pressure, as soon as economies start to turn, and we all hope it will, where you want to be positioned is having enough, sufficient exhibition space.
Welcome back. Now, obviously, we are discussing the conventions industry. We're talking about business tourism, and newly appointed in the South African tourism business is Amanda Kotze Nhlapo. She is in charge of the business tourism. In fact, she's in charge of the National Conventions Bureau. It's a newly formed organization. And before we get into all the discussions, let's talk to Amanda. Amanda, what are the key performance areas of this new Conventions Bureau?
Yeah, I think the maybe I must start to say what the Convention Bureau is supposed to do, and I think that the big thing is leisure versus business tourism. When we talk about business tourism, we really talk about selling and not just marketing. Whilst, traditionally marketing a destination is what leisure actually is doing. And so for us, it's really converting that marketing into selling, and into business. And you heard successful stories, and I'm sure you will hear from Johannesburg and from Durban. And so that's the first thing that we will do, is that we will sell this destination, and meaning the destination South Africa. A convention bureau can either be city-based, it can be regional-based, or it can be country-based. I think most of the convention bureaus are city-based and country-based. New to South Africa now, but I believe the exciting thing about it is that we will support what the convention bureaus in the cities are doing. And that's
so obviously, like you say, in most countries they do have an overarching national conventions bureau, and this is the first time we're having it. Why is it taking so long?
I think it's new. I think the industry is new. Traditionally South Africa is very much known as a leisure destination, and the interesting statement that was made at the SAACI conference was that it's very difficult to sell a destination that doesn't have actually a strong leisure brand. So for us, the time is ripe, it's there. But then also there was always a business tourism unit, and it's now just elevated to a convention bureau. And again, it's about the services, rendered by a convention bureau, bidding, delegate boosting, on-site event services. So it's very technical. But it's also very sexy and marketing.
Well, we want to congratulate you on your new appointment, and we hope that we're going to see you blazing a trail. Now, let's talk about that. Lindy, I want to bring you in here. The core business of most of the South African destinations is leisure, but you cannot sell a business destination if you don't have a strong leisure kind of offering as well. Do you find that the case with Johannesburg as well?
Not really, Lionel. I'll say Johannesburg obviously is primarily an economic powerhouse of South Africa, of the region. And we're quite big in terms of lifestyle and culture, heritage. And we may not have the natural attributes like the mountain, the sea, but at the same time, I believe that the city plays a very significant role in terms of its contribution to the national GDP of the country. It employs 12% of the workforce in the country. But more importantly, it's the only city actually in the country that has the big four venues that can be able to accommodate more than 5,000 people at a go. So in terms of how the destination is built, I think it's built to support business tourism, because by our own nature, we are primarily a business tourism destination, and we always leverage off business tourism to really increase our leisure tourism market share. But also we believe in experiential marketing beyond boundaries. We're not fixated on just Joburg as a location in terms of demarcation, because we believe that we've got so much to offer. We also sell Magaliesburg and Sun City, because we know it's about the experience experience. People consume experiences, not just boundaries. So I think strategically we've really looked at how we really ensure that we enhance our competitiveness. And I think towards the end of the interview, we'll be talking about how we've really merged with Durban and Cape Town to actually push the 3 global cities, the 3 cities, in order to ensure that South Africa is not only sold on wildlife alone, but urban tourism is the new phenomenon, and we need to actually respond to those demands. So I really believe that Joburg is distinctively different to the 2 cities, and I think Joburg has got a role to play in the economy, and tourism, specifically business tourism, is one of our key catalysts for sustainable growth, job creation and transformation.
Thanks for that, Lindiwe. Let's bring you in, James. Durban is primarily known for its leisure offerings, but now you've got a very strong business tourism proposition as well with the Albert Lutuli ICC, and you've got some pretty good and high-profile events. You've got COP17 coming up. Has that been a transition a very difficult one?
No, well, as you've correctly pointed out, Durban's been very fortunate since 1997 to have the Albert Lutuli ICC complex, which has now been rated as the top 10, well, for 10 years in a row, the best facility of its kind in Africa. But there are many factors that determine what is referred to as business tourism destination success. And 2 of those core factors are the presence of a very focused convention bureau and also what is increasingly becoming important, the need for a dedicated bid support fund to essentially drive a very aggressive bid process. And it's as a result of that fact that both the City of Durban and the province of KwaZulu-Natal made an express decision in 2009 to establish a very focused entity to promote the City of Durban and KwaZulu-Natal as a business tourism destination.
The thing I want to actually touch on, and I want to bring Amanda in as well, is that we have these 3 global cities. Lindiwe touched on it. We've got Cape Town, we've got Durban, and we've got obviously Johannesburg. And what I want to know from the National Conventions Bureau is how you're going to make sure that this intercity competition actually results in bigger business and for South Africa as a country.
I think it is all about how do we support the bidding process. I think it's, how we will do that. We will definitely go and, still do our rounds to all the cities to find out exactly what it is that we can. But we believe that if we have a full-fledged convention bureau running with your traditional convention bureau services, that it actually will enhance the, the process. Because I think bidding, it is so, it's severe out there. I mean, you are really, it's not just between 3 cities, it's also, the world. We were talking about it earlier. We compete against cities like the Vancouvers and the Sydneys and, those people. And I think for a national convention bureau, we really need to enhance what the cities are going on.
In my conversations with all the different cities, and I don't want the cities to start competing again, but at the end of the day, I think competition among cities is healthy. But it's an expensive process, and money needs to be spent. A bid book costs hundreds of thousands of rands. Where does the National Conventions Bureau come in?
Definitely to support that, we will definitely, that's why I was saying that we will have the traditional services that anyone in the world, outside South Africa, convention bureaus is quite something that is known. They know, and the international association will come to a destination and they will knock on the door of a convention bureau. So the brand of a convention bureau is extremely important being part of a city. So the Johannesburg Convention Bureau, the Durban Convention Bureau, so I think it's extremely important. So there's a lot in that, equity in that brand. And we will definitely, enhance that process. Will there be huge monies? We'll ask Minister van Schalkwyk.
We're just coming quickly before the break.
I think for me, LIONEL, it's important to actually look at the paradigm shift. Because historically, as Amanda has indicated, South Africa has traditionally been perceived as a leisure tourism destination. And the reality now is that markets are diminishing. We are experiencing a slow global economic recovery. And I think what's happening in the North America and Europe, and really right now we need to start focusing our energy on a sector that will actually enhance our competitiveness, a sector that will ensure that the industry is sustainable. And I think it was the right decision for the National Tourism Department to actually establish a convention bureau. But now the reality is really about on the how, in terms of the operationalization, in terms of how cities are supported, because the actual activity of business tourism happens at a city level. So it is important that there's alignment and there's support and there's intelligence as
Absolutely.
well.
Now, James, we're going to bring you in after the break. We actually need to go for an ad break. We'll be coming up after the break, and Meetings Africa is an association that seeks to position South Africa as one of the premier business tourism destinations globally. Now, will that be a hard sell? Stay tuned to find out.